Hey guys, it's Teacher Jamie with ESL Online Teaching and more. Today I'm outside enjoying the sunrise because I just finished teaching with VIP Kid. I'm here to give you my week 3 with Outschool and VIP Kid and what it looked like. But first, I really just want to give you some tips because I learned a few things and I am continuing to learn new things with Outschool. I'm really familiar because I have taught with VIP Kid for 3 years, but let me give you some insight that I have found with Outschool. So I'm gonna be shifting my eyes back and forth because I'm gonna give you 2 straight. Here we go. Tip number 1, if students don't show up for your class, I don't know what you do, but this is my recommendation to you. You can send them a personal message from the classroom and just say, hey, I noticed that you weren't in class today. Would you like to transfer? I definitely reach out to the students that don't show up because I do want them to take my class and have a good experience. And I think it gives it that personal touch. So when students don't show up, reach out. That's my tip to you. I don't think that's a requirement. If you're concerned about a student's involvement or interaction in class, like, there's some classes that are just very chatty and there's some kids that just don't get involved. This is my recommendation to you as well. Reach out to that child individually or that student individually and just make sure that they know that you've acknowledged them. I always try to reach out to each kid in the class, no matter what. I always say, hey, what do you think about this? Or can you help me choose a color because we're talking about colors or something? I always try to make sure each person is talked to individually in the class, but in the case that that student doesn't respond or isn't really interacting, I always just reach out and I say, hey, if you felt like you needed a little more one-on-one time, please let me know and I'll make a private class at no extra cost to you. So that's just me. I want everybody to have a good experience and I definitely reach out to people that just may not be as satisfied with class. And really, I'll be honest, I really think that your class could be the best thing that you're presenting and you are doing your absolute best, but the students play a big part in that. Some students just are really chatty and you can't really stop that as much unless you want to mute them, and you can do other things. But in my classes, I don't mute very often. I really want them to feel comfortable enough to talk. I ask them to raise their hands. I ask them to be polite. And so there's some students though that are just naturally quiet. And I did have a mom reach out to me and say, hey, there's a truck passing by, so I'm gonna let that happen. So I had this mom reach out to me and say, hey, my kids didn't really get the concept as well as I had hoped. And I think they just didn't understand the theme of the class because they're not familiar as other students, because it was a themed Fortnite class and they just didn't ever play Fortnite before. So she felt like they were kind of missing out because they just didn't understand the game itself, Fortnite. And so I just said, well, why don't I just go ahead and do a private class with them? So I opened up a private class so that they could come and join in on it. And that, of course, made the mom feel very heard and appreciated, and it gave them that extra experience that was actually very, very positive, and she was thrilled. Okay, this one is kind of just my own mistake. So when you have students that come into the class and you are not sure if the name is male or female or just gender neutral, you just don't know. And let's just say that they have a pretty face and very long hair and you think that they might be a girl, beware, because I had that huge mistake this week. I said, hey, you and I, girl power. And he said, did you just call me a girl? And he totally was cool with it, but I was like, how do you recover from that? Seriously, it was so awkward. I was like, no, be careful to not necessarily specify, even though the parents can put that on their bio, the kid's bio, they can say, refer to him as him or her or they. If you don't have that, you kind of are just left hanging there. And this mom hadn't specified, and her boy was pretty and he had very, very long hair. So I had that big mess up. So I teach 3 classes right now with Outschool, and 2 of them are just one-time classes, and the third one is an ongoing, and that just started. So I only had 1 student in that class, which I was thrilled to have her, and then the next week, which is week 4, I ended up having 4 students. So I think just going for it, and even if you don't have a lot of students, just do it. That class is only 30 minutes long, and I made with that class $6.30. I know, big time. Big truck. My other 2 classes are, like I said, are ongoing. One is a 45-minute class and the other one is a 30-minute class. I taught my 45-minute class 5 times and I had 38 students, which gave me an income of $226 after the $30 service fee. And that ends up being close to about 4 hours. I'm just gonna round up because it's really 3 hours and 45 minutes. My next class is, I only taught 3 times and it's a 30-minute class. And I was able to have 21 students and I made $117 with that class. So in total, I worked 5 hours and 45 minutes, so I'm gonna round that to 6 hours. And then I also made $349.90. So I'll just round that up to $350. Okay, so that ends up being about $58 an hour, which is fabulous for me because when you look at my VIP kid, it's a little bit different. So I taught 8 students this week and I only did short notice. So I made about $24 an hour. I also taught a level 7, which you get paid a little bit more for. And so in total, I made $114 this week with VIP Kid for 5 hours. So my total income for the week was $464 for about 11 hours of work, and that ends up being about $42 an hour. I hope that you enjoy hearing my successes. It's not to be braggy, it's just really to show you that there's a lot of possibilities. Keep coming back for more, and I hope that my tips are helpful. I'm gonna tell you one other tip that I do. This tip is all about just submitting your classes. Now, I think a lot of teachers are like, oh, I have to have everything ready to go before I can actually submit it for approval. That's not what I do. I actually sit down and I just kind of map out what I think my class is gonna look like, and then I submit it for approval. Once it's submitted to approval and I get an approval on it, then I just kind of let it sit there for a little bit, and I actually have people saying, hey, when are you gonna open this class? Or you start getting saves and people start hearting your class, and so you can kind of see what the interest is. And then I'm like, okay, let's crack down and really get this lesson planned out. And that's what I do because I just want to see what the interest is, and I don't want to sit here and spend a lot of time making a class and then it just flops. So that's how I have been doing my classes. All right, I'll see you back on my channel. My name is Jamie with ESL Online Teaching and More. I hope you subscribe, like, and all that stuff. All right, see you later.